Dear Father in heaven, Lord, thank you for this day. Thank you, Father, for the ability and the chance to do this podcast, Lord. God, today we're going to be speaking about what it is to be a leader. And so, Jesus, we ask you into the room. We pray that your spirit would move in us and would allow us to help others get a perspective that is strong on what it is to be a leader. Father, we love you and we thank you for all that you're doing. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Welcome back, boys. It's Tribe Talk. I'm here with my good friend Mike. Say hi, Mike.
Hello.
How are you doing today?
I am doing great. How are you?
I'm pretty good. You having a good week?
I am. It's coming off a few days off and getting ready to go back at it again tomorrow.
Right on.
Yeah.
I just got attacked by wasps today, so again, if my face starts to swell up, just go on without me. Finish the podcast, and we'll go from there.
If you pass out, we'll just keep going.
It'll be a better podcast for it, I'm sure.
For sure, yeah.
That's okay. So today, Michael, we're going to be talking about leadership. I'm very excited about this topic.
Me too.
I think that a lot of guys think they have this down.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of aspects to it that we don't even consider. And so you actually started the chapter in the book with a couple quotes, and I love these. So I'm just going to read them, and then we're going to introduce our guest.
Okay.
So Exodus 18:21 says, "But select capable men from all people, men who fear God, trustworthy men who hate dishonest gain, and appoint them as officials over thousands, hundreds, fifties, and tens." I think the message there is, like, God made it clear that we need leaders in our environment and that they need to be appointed.
Yep.
They need to be accountable, and they need to hold people accountable.
Yep.
So that's a great concept. And then you dropped a very great quote from John Quincy Adams that says, "If your actions inspire others to dream more, learn more, do more, and become more, you are a leader."
Love that quote.
Good stuff, dude.
Such a great quote.
That is awesome. So with that in mind, let's introduce our next guest. All right.
Good looking guy again. We always got to put the good looking part in there.
We do have handsome guests.
We do. It's amazing. I don't know how we do it.
Beautiful guests when they're not men. Right?
Yeah, that's right.
So guys, our next guest is a friend of the tribe, definitely a board member, been around our organization for quite a long time. He spent over 20 years in the United States Air Force and is now working in defense contracting. Or maybe he can describe that a little bit better. Per usual, gents, none of these things really define who this man is, because he is first and foremost a child of God. But these are things he does to keep the lights on.
Yep.
More importantly, he's been married to his beautiful wife, Stacy, for how long?
23 years.
23 years.
Dang.
It's pretty sweet. They have two kids, Reagan and Braden. Strong names. And this gentleman enjoys watching baseball. He loves long walks on the beach, the sound of mountain streams,
Yes.
butterflies and puppies.
Yep. All those things.
Our good friend, Jacob Jaworski. Welcome, Jacob.
All good things. Thanks for having me, guys.
Yeah, how you doing, man?
Happy to be here. I'm doing good. Look forward to sharing some thoughts and some words, probably not too wise words, but
Some wisdom.
looking forward to digging deeper into this leadership chapter and what it means to men in particular to be leaders in their homes, in their community, or in their workplace, or as spiritual leaders everywhere they go.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, let's just dive right in, buddy. Why don't you tell us, in your mind, what are some traits of an effective leader?
It's good. We always dig into this. Seems like anytime you do something that's leadership oriented, they're always like, "Oh, list off some traits," right? We did this in our company not too long ago. We do this in the Junto group of what makes a good leader. Character, honesty, integrity. Being able to make a decision. A lot of people aren't able to do that. Those are some things that come to mind, right? Of a good leader. Sometimes people say well-spoken, but those are like learned things. So we kind of get into discussion of, is a leader born, or is leadership something that's learned? I think there are some certain aspects of a personality or an individual where they are more adept at being a good leader just based on their given traits and some of their experiences. But a lot of the things we list off as making a good leader, of the honesty and integrity, being a servant, those things are more learned traits and not necessarily something you're born with. You see your kid in the kitchen with chocolate all over their face, like, did you eat the cookie? And the kid says no. And they're not born to be like honest and straightforward.
Well, somebody else made them do it for sure.
Somebody made them do it.
Yeah. That never happens to me in my house, ever.
Well, in your house, it's not the kids eating the cookies, it's you, I'm sure.
That's a good point.
Yeah, me too, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah, right on. So you mentioned that some of these things are inherent, but they're not all inherent. So where do you guys go to train this trait into them?
It's observation a lot of the times, right? So it's modeled behavior. So you see somebody doing something and you think about, oh, that's the right way to do it. That's how I want to do it. That's how I want to be. But that isn't a guarantee.
Yeah.
You need the environment for somebody to see that behavior and want to model and emulate that. I think in society, a lot of times people don't have those role models and figures to emulate. Think of all the broken homes or the orphans or the poverty in the nation where people don't have that role model standing up there to emulate a strong male person. Mm-hmm. So a lot of that's that learned behavior. I think in the military, we served, so we saw good traits of effective leaders and not effective leaders. Yeah. Oftentimes those effective leaders are well-spoken. They follow through with doing what they say, so walking the line that they say. Some of the leaders that you probably saw as well in your career that weren't so effective leaders didn't connect with their people. They're on a different level. So being able to connect with those people that you're trying to lead, I think is really key. Make people do what they don't want to do, right? So you think of these great war movies where these men charge the mountain. I think of some Vietnam movies that I watched as a kid, or some World War II movies like Band of Brothers. Like, these guys didn't wake up and say, I want to take this hill today and possibly die. But they're willing to die for each other or for their leader because it's inspirational to them.
Yes, the thing I'm hearing as you're speaking, you hit on a lot of different things. You didn't just hit on, because it's easy for us to say, well, I'm a good leader, and we'll get to it in a minute, but I'm a good leader at work, or whatever it is. And one of the things that I heard you say, you hit on some of those aspects and some of those ideas, but you also hit on the family and the community and so forth. So we'll get to all those, I think, as we go through. But like, the one thing I want to ask you is this idea of, so we talk about all the archetypes that we talk about, that none of them, they intermix, they go together. None of them really stands out when we're doing certain things, right? And so a minute ago, you said something about being a servant. So how in the world does being a servant work in with being a leader?
I think they go hand in hand. It's do unto others, right, as you want done to you. So like, how am I expect you to go out there and pick up trash if I'm not willing to go out there and pick up trash with you? Mm-hmm. The Jesus example of washing the disciples' feet, of serving them. And this is the model, again, how I want you to live your life and to follow, is to go be with others and serve them. It's the misconception of the time when it was Jesus is going to come and be that knight and that sword and beat back the Romans, where it was the complete opposite, where he was here to forgive and spread the love, and serve man and mankind.
Yeah, serving man and mankind.
Yeah, I love that. And he was definitely a by example leader. Mm-hmm. Like, certainly, willing to do whatever he asked his people to do, which is, I think, vital.
Yeah.
And we've mentioned the word inspiration a bunch. So what are the modes of inspiration? What tactics do you use in order to inspire people?
That's a tough one. I think, like, just trying to connect with people and get to know them on a personal level. I travel for work quite a bit, and that's really one of the things that's rewarding about it is getting to know each other and what makes them tick. So, go by their cubicles and you look around. I look around this room and I can see your hats and your awards, your major awards, in the other pictures, and see what inspires Jim. So for me to inspire you, I got to figure out what that carrot is, right? And what motivates you? What are you working for? Obviously, you're working for your family, and all these wonderful distinctions that you have on the wall. That makes you tick. Other people, it doesn't matter what kind of carrot you entice them with. They just need that stick. And I don't know, there's some donkeys that just need that stick, right? You got to beat it into them. But I think getting to know people is how you inspire them and how you lead them, because each person's different. Each group dynamic is going to be different. As you put people in a group, it's fun to watch to figure out who's going to step into that leadership role. Again, at work a couple of weeks ago, we had this exercise where we put people together and they were problem solving and just watching this dynamic of 5 or 6 strangers, and who's going to step up and be the leader and take charge of this problem and solve it. And they all had different and varying skills, and see how they come together. And again, a leader doesn't necessarily need to be a title, a manager or boss. Right. You can definitely lead from within. Through the Air Force career, I never aspired to be a commander or this title or that title. I was more family focused and taking jobs and a career path that let me focus more on family than career progression. So I didn't have those distractions of needing that duty title. I kind of led from within, and I think my leadership from within was recognized. I got different jobs within a unit that showed that, but a title definitely doesn't make you a leader. I think I rambled a bit there.
No, I think you answered the question.
Yeah.
I think what you demonstrated too is you must have had leaders over the years that understood what made you tick, and they allowed you to operate within those confines. And when you think about it, like really what you're trying to do on a team is maximize performance, right? Maximize potential and make it, what's the opposite of potential? Active? Realized.
Yeah.
You're trying to realize potential for performance. And so in order to do that, you do need to find what makes people tick.
Yeah, achieve that shared goal, right? Figure out what a goal is. If you're at McDonald's, like, all right, we're going to make it through the shift and sell as many cheeseburgers and have the kitchen clean and then close up shop and the registers all match or whatever it takes, right? But to get everybody on the same goal, same path to achieve that success, whether that's, profitability, employee retention, or going downtown Baghdad on night one and trying to find Saddam, like getting everybody to work together.
Yeah. With different skill sets.
With different skill sets and personalities and motivations.
Yeah.
How important do you think the idea of everybody understanding the values of the organization is?
I think that's huge. That's Simon Sinek of the why, right? Understanding of what we're doing and why we're here. It can be very difficult in some organizations of figuring out the purpose of being. Like, why does this organization exist? There's 100 of other organizations like this. What makes us different? Yeah. I think it's the company values, the leadership's values that they can impart to the rest of the company. Mm-hmm. Taking care of family. During a lot of our orientations, we always said, do what's right, no matter what the cost. The Air Force has integrity, right? And it's like, do what's right when no one's looking type definition. But I keep coming back to what our company always said was, do what's right, no matter what the cost. And there's going to be a cost. There's always a cost. I think I mentioned this to you once when, your leadership and what you're bringing to our community is being attacked. There's going to be a cost and a price to pay. So the enemy's not just going to sit back and let Jesus be successful. He's going to fight it. So there's a cost to be paid. There's going to be sacrifices that we have to make through this walk. Yep.
I think one thing that makes a good leader too is they're willing to adjust course when they realize they failed. And so my example of this, you tell me if this resonates with you. I was a part of a squadron that had a lot of different jobs, and I was used to my whole career dealing with one type of airman. And so I walk into a room one day and I start talking to this group of people as if they were the same job as me my whole career. And I was basically voted off the island immediately, right? They didn't respect me. They didn't listen to me any longer. But what was cool about that interaction was I reflected on it and I was able to backtrack and start talking to them the way that they would understand. And they were remarkably forgiving.
Yeah.
And I think, some people just get stuck in their way and they refuse to adjust their tactics. What do you think of that?
No, it's you got to immerse yourself with the people and know your audience. I've seen that as well, where I was working a more or less desk job. Instead of wearing the zipper suit to work, I would wear the same uniform as them and match them.
For those who don't know what that is, that's a flight suit that you would wear when doing flight operations on an airplane. So.
So instead of wearing the flight suit, the hero outfit, go walk in, and I wore the
They're
same
pajamas,
uniform.
Michael. They're pajamas.
Yeah,
just so you know.
I've seen them.
They're very comfortable, and I'd come home and I'd put on my pajama pants. It's not here or there.
Nice.
Wear the same uniform as them and look like them, right? They were not pilots or backseaters or aviators. They didn't have that same uniform, but wear the same outfit as them and be a part of the group. And I had one of them pull me aside and said, "It's really cool that you're wearing that. No one else has ever done this before." Huh. I'm like, wow, it's just a small thing, right?
Yeah.
You think of, oh, it doesn't matter. It's just a uniform or just clothes, but it's a connection.
Yeah,
so
that's good.
Connecting with the people.
Did you get anything out of that too? Like most of the time you're doing that for them, but what did you get out of that exchange?
No, I liked it, right? It's, again, about what motivates people and figuring out what makes them tick. And that's just another way to be able to connect.
Yeah.
Right. So instead of standing on the stage or being on the podium, you're with the people and connecting with them and bonding with them and reaching out and knowing what they are.
Well, and here's a secret too. I think every leader secretly wants to feel like they're a part of the team.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Not outside the circle.
Yeah. How many times have you heard, like, once they get away from a situation and they become an even bigger leader, then like, oh, that was the best job I had whenever I was less of a big deal.
Yeah, that's right. That's really good. So what about those guys that because once you get to, you're the head of an organization or something that you're doing, it's easy to start feeling pretty lonely.
Oh yeah.
Because you have to be a certain way, and you have to show strength. You have to do all these different things, and that can get hard. And then who does the leader go to get help in those situations? Yeah,
you almost have to be guarded in certain situations, right? Where you can't be too vulnerable or too open to those that may be at a lower stature or lower rank, or however you want to call it, like employees to a supervisor. Or
this isn't unique to a military organization either, y'all. It's pretty universal. So
No, I have it in our where I work now, and my boss, help her as a confidant, right? So we talk inside baseball, right? So she can unload on me and let me know what she's thinking and what she's feeling and observing as a trusted agent, right? Of, all right, this is between us. This isn't for the masses. And that's important for all of us to have a person or an outlet or a group of people to go to. A spouse often gets hit, right? So as soon as you walk in the door, whether he or she wants it or not, it gets pummeled with it. And they bear the wrath of a good day or rarely a bad day.
My wife and I used to have it's not really a rule, but we would say it's a rule. Only one of us could have a bad day at a time. Yeah. So it was like the first one to speak up got to have the bad day.
Yeah.
That's not really what we did, but
I'd come home and I just need my daily internet. Just let me get online, check the baseball scores and read the news and just give me like 15 minutes and
then I'll be ready.
Then I'll get into home life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that takes a little trust too, because she understands that it's truly only going to be 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. That's pretty cool. Yeah.
Yeah. So I was going to ask you what's the biggest, so you just became a civilian, working for for your company. Mm-hmm. What is there a big difference between when you were active duty and now you're doing this in the civilian world?
Yeah, it's a huge difference. Retired 3.5 years ago, almost 4 years ago now, and jumped into a small business and really helped this business grow, and it's successful. we've doubled twice. It was about 150 when I joined the company, and we're over 650 now. Kind of risen through the ranks with the company, and went from a minion when I started, just go do job on base as a defense contractor, and I don't know, somewhere in the upper middle management, junior executive type role now. We're a manager of managers, and in that leadership role, making sure we're profitable and we're successful and we're earning more work. So it's different. And everybody else that's at my level or higher within the company are not military. So the company's been a defense contractor for almost 18 years now, but nobody in the upper leadership has that military background. So I think that's something that helped me be successful, is having, the poise and confidence and being able to see a situation, adapt to a situation, and find a solution to a problem. And I think that's lacking in a lot of areas.
Are there any traits or characteristics that don't transfer well from military to civilian, or vice versa?
I think the big one is thinking that just because you say it, somebody's going to do it.
That's for sure.
That's a real thing. I think tempering your approach, you got to have a softer style overall. Especially in the flying community, in the flying world, we're all very direct, right? And it's something I'm still working on, is softening my blow, and trying to be more communicative. So like my emails are really short. I tell people I'm sorry. I flew airplanes for 21 years, and our mission was to say as much as possible with as few words as possible, and get it out there. And somebody will read my one-line email like, "Oh, I've read this into that." I'm like, "Don't read anything into that. Just read the words on the
literally,
screen.
just take it literally.
just read the words. There's no hidden meaning or agenda." So, tempering that down a little bit and trying to be a little bit softer, a little more empathetic.
Okay, I have a very important question, because I still work within the military as a civilian, but I'm still tied to all those old units. This is really important. Do civilian companies use acronyms?
Yeah,
Like a lot?
A lot of them. So we have contracts across, Army and Missile Defense Agency and Air Force. So then, obviously the different bases have their acronyms, and then we have the same thing across our company and dealing with different contractors. Like, all right, which acronym reference are you using? What core, COR? Which
so
core
funny.
are we talking about here?
So just a quick anecdote. My wife, Sarah, decided to become a professional later in her life. She was in her late 30s when she went back to school. And she would tease me all the time about military acronyms and how much we use them. Because we could have whole conversations and people from the outside have no idea what we're talking about. Well, guess what? In the world of mental health, they have them too.
Oh, yeah.
And I tease her so much because she and her peers will get to talking. And I'm like, I have no idea what you just said.
Yeah.
So we're not the only ones.
No, it's everywhere. It's everywhere.
For sure.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Well, so you mentioned the transition between, you didn't mention, I asked you, between military and civilian. How do these concepts change as you think about being a leader within your home?
That's a good question. It's different. I think what I've learned in transitioning and some things that Stacy helps me with, and she's amazing at it because I'm not a touchy-feely emotional guy, and I had a job where it was like no emotion for a long time, right?
It was almost mandatory.
Yeah. You do not have an emotion, or
you're not allowed, actually.
It won't end well for you. But just trying to learn how to express that emotions and share feelings and pretend like I don't have them. And I grew up of a family of 3 boys. I was the youngest, and it wasn't an emotional household. We didn't talk about feelings. We didn't express feelings. If we watched a movie and my mom cried, we made fun of her, right? Like, why are you crying?
No way.
That's terrible.
No, really?
Yeah.
Oh man, if my kids did that to my wife, I would pound them for sure.
Yeah. So it was not super touchy feely, but I think in the family as a leader, it's same as being in a corporate world or opposite of being in the military, right? You need to soften your blow and think about how it's received. they'll probably be reading between the lines, even though there's nothing in between the lines, and the nonverbal cues that you put off and give off to your family, and try to lead your family, right? It's not authoritative. Dad said so it must be, right? I think it should be a great team approach, husband and wife, partnered through all decision making, from parenting to finances to everything.
So that's a good thing to bring up. So how do you and Stacy work together? And does she lead in areas that you're not so good at, and then do you do the same, with her?
No, yeah, she's the touchy-feely one, right? I call her the ELA one, and I'm the math and science, right? So
nice. Is this like left brain and right brain?
Yeah.
Yeah. Nice. Okay.
Come up with an acronym really quick. It'll be fun.
Or chromosomal. I don't know how it works, but yeah, she's the one the kids go to and express feelings and emotion, and because they know it probably will bounce off of me, right? Like a ping pong ball off the concrete. But yeah, definitely take up different roles and dynamics, but then we sync up, right? Like, all right, here's what's going on. What do you think? How we should handle this? And work together and raise the family. And I shared with Jim before we started about being at infill, and had the camper there, our new bougie camper, and guys come out, and that's really cool. I wish my kids could do this, or my kids couldn't do that. They'd be under screens or whatever else, and I wrote a bunch of notes that weekend about that, and like the kind of failure of parenting or failure of dads to lead the family of can't do something that they want to do or have an experience with their family because their kids can't. And like, well, is it really because your kids can't go sit in the woods for a weekend, or is it because you can't do it because as a parent you haven't led your family or led your kids to be able to do that?
Yeah, I think that's exactly right. Because I've got a high school. Oh, actually, hello, she just graduated.
Go Bulls.
Yeah, so she's getting ready.
Rising freshman.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Rising freshman in college, and we've had a camper since she was a little kid, and we use it all the time. And it was the most amazing thing. Last weekend, was it last weekend? Yeah, we were visiting her college. And we took the camper. And so we wake up in the morning and they're both getting ready, and we have an area in the back, and it was the most amazing. It was just amazing for a dad. I look down to see where they're at, and they're in the back, and they're both sitting on the floor in front of mirrors right next to each other, getting themselves ready the way a girl would get ready. And the point of all that is they don't have all the cool stuff that they need for their makeup and whatever that is they do. And so they're just sitting on the floor of the camper, just working together. It was just really cool. So it's what they get used to.
Yeah, they're problem solvers. And it's amazing too. We've done the same thing. We're a big camping family as well. We don't have a camper, but we do enjoy being in the woods. And when we first started this lifestyle and the kids had cell phones, we would literally take their phones and lock them in the glove box. And that argument that we got from them lasted about 5 minutes.
Yep.
And then my son found a hatchet and started cutting down trees, and my girls started building a fort or, whatever. And Sarah and I were able to open a lawn chair and put our feet up and relax, and the kids entertain themselves.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's crazy. And now they're the ones stealing phones. They actually take them from us.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's pretty great.
Awesome.
So
that's pretty cool.
They can do it. And as their parent, you're allowed to make them do it.
Yeah, I agree 100%. Like it's I think it's a little societal right now, like travel ball and travel sports. We were a victim of that as well, and so I'm not immune, right? But
us too.
Of who's running the household? I saw a meme with the Oregon Trail, like well played horse, right? And like the old days, the horse out front pulling the wagon, and now the horse is riding in an air conditioned trailer behind the truck, right? It's like good job, horse. Like yeah. So no longer
the horse wins.
No longer out there toiling and sweating, riding in luxury. But who's running the show? Kids, parents. I think we got it backwards in a lot of instances.
I would agree. I think you're right.
Well, and that's biblical too, right? That there's scripture that supports that. So Yeah. I mean, step up, guys.
We need Keith here to quote for us. Uncle Keith, quote
We
for us.
do.
Insert quote from Uncle Keith.
We've said Uncle Keith enough on this podcast that everybody should know who we're talking about at this point. So
maybe we should have a lifeline to that guy.
Yeah.
we could.
Phone
We
a
just-
friend.
Every time we do a podcast.
He'd probably be like, "You can keep me on retainer. Here's my cost."
Yeah,
He's a very smart and entrepreneurial dude. So
That's right.
yeah, that's a good point.
You got anything other thoughts, Jim, on the family piece?
Well, so it does change a little bit too when you start talking about how you lead your kids. So we just brought it up. What's the major difference?
I think you can be authoritarian with those kids, right? It's almost not quite military where you expect them to do exactly as you say because it'll come out wrong. But you're the mom, you're the dad. You tell the kids, you expect the result, right? So, hey, and there's consequences. This is the way it is. If not, then, all right, there's going to be consequences. We've had that, and I'm sure every parent has had some type of consequences dealt upon their kids. And then kind of talked about it earlier about being that role model or mentor or doing that. And, we had late nights and tell the kids, hey, don't stay up too late. We're going to church in the morning. 7:30 rolls around, you get out of bed, we're going to church.
Yeah.
We're doing this as a family. It's a family activity. We're going to go worship the Lord and hear a good word.
How old are your kids, Jacob?
18 and 16.
So you got one that's coming up on a junior in high school?
Junior in high school, and one just finished freshman year at Auburn, War Eagle.
So if you don't mind, I love that. Thank you, by the way. If you don't mind, Roll Tide, tell us how your approach to being a leader for your children changed as the kids got older.
I don't know how it really changed. Trying to let them be more independent and problem solve. That's a big one that I used to tell Braden all the time. I'm like, all right, I don't know, buddy, problem solve it. I think we're quick to do that these days. Not let kids figure out things on their own or make mistakes. Right? It's like, go ahead and give it a try, problem solve it, and figure it out on your own. What's the worst that can happen in any given situation? They're not flying an airplane. So they're just doing small things around the house or chores. And we empowered them and made them do chores. Even this weekend, like, all right, come get some fresh air and pick up these tree limbs I'm cutting down. So,
I like how you frame that.
Yeah.
Here, come get something that's good for you and then do this work.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's brilliant.
it's fresh air time. Pop you off my couch real quick.
It's like today I was replacing the cord in my weed eater, and Julie comes out and says, you need any help? I'm like, I got it. Anyway, she goes back in the house, and about 2 seconds later, here come both kids. Hey, Dad, we're out to help you.
Mom said you need help.
Mom sent you out here?
Yeah.
That's a good woman right there.
That's right.
Yeah.
Either that or she doesn't trust me, one of the two. But whatever,
Here, you fumble with it. My thumbs are too big.
Yeah, that's right.
We are not going to assume which one is true.
That's true.
We're not going to postulate
That's
that.
exactly
but-
right.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm in a similar situation. I got kids that are still in the house and those that are out of the house. Some graduated college even, and I've found it really cool that my role as the leader in their life has changed as they've gotten older, and because I've been willing to adjust, I've really, by the grace of God, in spite of me, maintained a great relationship with my children.
Yeah, this just popped to me. I think you probably got a good relationship with your daughter, right? And probably a friendship now. I think.
Yeah, it's kind of where
a
it's
lot
going.
of people jump to friendship way too early.
Yeah.
So
that's
you're
good,
like, all
for
right,
sure.
I got a kindergartner. I want to be their best friend. Or they're in middle school. I really need to be their best friend, the cool mom or the cool dad right now, and
Yep.
do all these cool things. Or we talk about it often, and how crazy like prom and homecoming's gotten, especially in this area where people
Oh yeah.
rent out a beach house and be the cool parents and buy alcohol for our kids and let them hang out at a co-ed all-nighter at a
it's
beach
crazy.
house. I'm like, how and why has this become okay?
Yeah.
It's crazy to me.
Yeah, I'm paying for a wedding right now. We're planning and paying for a wedding, and we never did that with our kids in high school. They were tied to some of that stuff because their friends did, but like, what expectation are we setting them up for when they get married? What's the expectation? If you set homecoming and prom that high.
Yeah.
Like the actual big events in life, are we setting them up for failure or disappointment? You know?
Especially like you think about middle school and how awkward and uncomfortable it is. And like, I think you really need guidance then more than ever, and not so much a best friend that's your mom or dad. And like, you really need discipline, because those middle school boys, they're weirdos. And
Oh yeah.
those middle school girls, they're an emotional mess. So we really need leadership at that point, not so much a friend.
Some of those principles apply across the spectrum too. Like you think about, as you rise in the ranks in your job and you're now a supervisor, you can't be everybody's bro anymore. And sometimes hard decisions have to be made, and somebody in a position of authority has to make them. And so, you know, same thing goes with being a dad. Yeah,
nothing worse than doing disciplinary actions or having to let people go, whether it's for performance, which that's a little easier to let people go for that, or there's just cuts in the budget, and their position no longer has money supporting it, so you can't keep them employed, and they did nothing wrong, and now you have to have that conversation with them and say, I'm sorry, but your job's going away in a couple of weeks or at the end of the month, and it's really difficult. It's a hard conversation to have. Unfortunately, somebody's got to be that person, though. Yeah.
So I was going to ask you about sometimes, especially as your kids are kind of, and I think even when they're younger too, letting them try things out and fail. I mean, talk about that a little bit more.
I think it's fun to watch them struggle. Be a little devious here.
You and your wife are like, no, watch this.
Yeah,
watch this.
Yeah.
This is going to be a good one.
This is going to be funny.
Watch this. But you know, sometimes it's not going to turn out good, and it's okay. And they learn so much more, right? Or the pride of achieving, right? Whenever they do something themselves, especially the younger the kids are, the more of that joy and love there is. Like whenever they achieve something on their own, look what I did. Yeah,
yep.
That looks great. Good job, buddy. But yeah, and it's just being able to figure it out, and that's going to help you from childhood to adulthood. Whenever you can do things on your own, you'll be self-sustaining, problem solving, and figuring things out, being able to communicate difficult things.
Yeah.
Man, what a skill to have.
That's good.
I don't know. I think it's rewarding as a parent or a leader to watch those people actually achieve that goal.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you learn a ton too when they do it a different way than you would have.
Yeah.
And the reality is you can't do it all. Otherwise you wouldn't need them. You know what I mean? So you got to at some point empower folks that you interact with to do exactly what it is you're describing.
Well, now we're all similar in age, and our kids are kind of similar in age. We're getting to the point where, hey, help me with my phone, or
hey, that's
kid,
true.
Program my VCR for me.
Yeah. VCR. What is that exactly?
Old school.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that is so true. Yeah, could not agree more.
Hook this up for me. Help me out. And so admitting that your children may know more than you on a topic.
Yeah, no, it's good.
Is that a struggle? Have you had that yet? Has Chayla helped you out with some of your
this
studies?
is no joke. Today I had a meeting going on Zoom, and I could not figure out how to do something, and there she is, standing right next to me. She's like,
I got this, Dad.
Yeah, she's like, trying to help me out. She's like, what are you doing, Dad? And so I got this 12-year-old and she actually helped me. So yeah,
we have physical restrictions too. So my example is hanging the Christmas tree lights in the trees out front every year. I got this in-house built-in spider monkey named James Richard Marion, my son.
There you go.
Who climbs trees better than I do. So I'm like, here you go. This is your new task. This used to be mine. Now it's yours.
Yeah.
He's way more nimble and agile. So yeah, you got to give up the reins sometimes.
Grab that push more, buddy. It breaks my heart to let you do this.
Yeah. Yep.
Go ahead.
Yeah. Okay. So we talked about leadership in the workplace, and we talked about family. What about just friends?
Friends? I think that's...
Jacob's like, I don't have any. I don't know what you're talking about.
Jacob, I need you.
Can I phone? No, I can't phone a friend. That doesn't work.
We're just kidding, by the way, guys. He's very social. He has many friends.
Yes, for sure.
You got to be careful who your friends are, right?
Yeah, that's true.
You can either influence your friends, or your friends can influence you, right?
Yep.
So who you hanging out with and what are they doing? Are they lifting you up? Are they tearing you down?
Very good point.
We've made some of those decisions since we've lived here, and choose to not associate with some different people just because they don't have like values, are not on the same path. A family we hung out with last night that will remain nameless, the Lemire's. He loves to mention, equally yoked, right? Like people that believe the same things and believe the same principles. And like being a leader amongst friends, I think that's almost a time to check out for me. Like, I know that you don't need me to be your leader right now, but I will hold you accountable when you're not playing the game right.
Yeah.
That's hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What I really like what you said though, is you create, a good leader is going to create values in the workplace. A good family man is going to create values that are family values. And why would we not do that with our friends as well? You have to, I think it's a good idea to spend time with people that have some of the same values that you have, that you're creating a life with. And for me, I have a lot of people that I talk to and that I would say are friends, but then I have my really close friends.
Yeah.
And those individuals are usually the ones I share values with.
Yeah, like on LinkedIn, I'll LinkedIn anybody because you don't. Who cares? Facebook, I'm a little bit more guarded of who I'll friend because then that's really official.
Yeah.
But then who I actually hang out with, and that's a much smaller circle.
Yeah.
Think about we ever had a high school reunion, like the 3 or 4 people that I care to talk to from my hometown I do talk to.
Yeah, you connect with them.
So I don't need an event to necessarily force friendships upon you. I'm like, I stay connected with the people I want to be connected with that share the same worldview as me.
Yeah, that's good.
So how do you resolve then, like Jesus's command to bring the gospel to the masses?
You can do that throughout your workplace. You can do that throughout your kids' activities. We talked about our kids' role in our lives, right? So you can still be that example. You can still spread the word of Jesus to those around you by example or through your actual words. But I think thinking on the terms of friendship, I don't want to be going to the biker bar and making my friends there and giving them all my quality time, right? Because at some point, you'll start modeling that behavior. It's very difficult to be that person that, there's people out there that, go on the mission trips, right? And be the one amongst 1,000 and change the 1,000. Me personally, I'm not that guy. So I don't want to be in that situation where I'll have others influence me in a negative way.
That's good.
Well, even he had the 12, right?
Yeah.
So he I don't know, he did minister to the masses, but his core group was just 12 dudes.
12 dudes, and even his inner circle was smaller.
Yeah.
And then he went to...
That's right.
And then he went to even alone time to be alone with the Father.
That's a really good point. Yeah, man. And so he did have the 12 men, but then Jesus, but yeah, he did actually have an inner group of those that he was even more trusting, closer to, and probably saw something in them as well. So that's a really good point.
Yeah.
He had people outside that circle too that he loved, that he was close to.
Yep.
Yeah.
Make
For
appearances in the Bible. So
a lot more followers than just the 12, right?
Right.
Just the LinkedIn, everybody following him, and the Facebook, maybe the 12, and then the couple people you really like to have quality time with.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. What a great example.
Yeah. I think the other thing, we kind of talk about that, bringing the word to others, and I think we're always a little bit reluctant. Even I said it right. I don't want to be that guy going to be the one amongst 1,000. That reluctant leadership, right? Like being put into that role. In military career, I didn't strive to be the title, right? So, I think the Bible's full of examples of that reluctant leadership.
Wow, that's a good point.
For sure.
You think of the easy ones, like Moses, right? Like, don't pick me. I can't talk. I sound like an idiot on this podcast.
Yeah.
Why am I doing this? And pick my brother.
I was just thinking your voice made us sound better today. So
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Maybe he should take over for both of us.
Somebody needs to do something.
Yeah.
I wouldn't go that far. So yeah, definitely reluctant, right? And end up being a great biblical example. I think it's in Judges. Gideon was the same. Like, just a guy from a town and a tribe. I don't fit that bill. So I think that's a natural tendency is for us as men to be reluctant to take on a leadership role of that doubt. I'm not good enough. I'm not smart enough. Nobody likes me. What am I going to say on a podcast? What am I going to do if I lead a tribe? If I put myself in a leadership role, everybody's going to know I'm an idiot, right?
Yeah, that's good.
So I think there's always a little bit of a hesitancy for us to be leaders as men at home, in the community, at work. It's disappointing a lot of times because you see potential in people and they don't exercise that potential.
Yeah.
I hate too when people do that, and I do it too, so I'm not pointing fingers at others. I'm also pointing it at myself, is you take away an opportunity for God to be in the forefront, right? You're making it about you when you refuse that opportunity that he gave you.
That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's the thing that's really hard is and I have to remind myself, and I talk about it all the time, but I still have to remind myself quite a bit that Jesus wants to co-labor with you. He wants to come along with you, and he again. And we talk about the cultural mandate. We talk about the Great Commission and all the different things that the Bible talks about. And really, I mean, the Bible is full of leaders that are trying to get to that purpose, which is to change the world to grow closer to God. And so if you have that as a motivating factor for yourself, there's no doubt in my mind that the Holy Spirit is going to be with you, trying to give you the tools you need to do that. So yes, it can be really intimidating to lead people. It can be really intimidating to lead people. But as you said, the Bible's full of guys like that too, and they changed the world.
Yeah.
And they were scared to death to do it.
And every single one of them, when they complained to God that they weren't good enough, God basically went, yeah, I know.
That's okay.
Because you're not going to do it. I'm going to do it through you.
I will be with you.
Exactly.
Yeah. And I think a little bit of hesitancy and reluctance is a good thing.
Yes.
Give you time to think and pray, and be reflective. Make sure that, yes, this is correct and what God has for me. I think a lot of times it's the people that aren't reluctant and they just charge on head on and end up being bad leaders. It's all about me and self-serving, and I need to do this to get this title, or just this one thing, and then I'll be happy, or just one more, or give me this title, give me this rank, give me this position, and man, I'll put it on LinkedIn and I'll get so many likes. Oh, it's gonna be great.
Well, and they'll go, good. I got this. I don't need God.
Yeah.
What is it? How? Okay, that's really good. I like that.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. How can one of the things that I read years ago, and I can't remember the name of the book, but it was really good, and he was talking about being a leader that's not even seen. Like, how can, and I think he wrote this book, and I don't even think he used his real name. So the idea is, and it was a Christian book. He was talking about Jesus, and how do we become strong enough to be leaders that, man, no one even knows I'm doing anything here.
I think that's a good trait of a great leader. They don't want that recognition. They don't
agree.
want that quality. And I'm not a person that wants an accolade and my name in lights, right? I want the team to take the credit, right? It's a group effort. We're doing this together. A crew boat, right? People row. Like the guy on the back saying stroke is just as important as every one of those guys rowing that boat. So, and if you think you got there by yourself, you're so wrong.
Yeah, you are. And I think, and so this is one of the things I've been thinking a lot about, is a leader, when they really need to stand out, is when things went bad.
Yeah. Well, I say every time my phone rings, nobody's calling to see how I'm doing.
Nope. That's true.
Almost, I won't say every email, but every time my phone rings, it's like, it's not good news.
Yeah, that's right.
There's a dumpster on fire somewhere, so let's go. So the higher you get, the less chummy it is. It's people are either have an agenda, like they want to do that self-serving, pick me, look at me. They want your attention, or they need help solving a problem.
Yeah. So a great leader is a leader that is not recognized when things are going well, and letting the staff and those people that you're in charge of get those accolades. And then that same leader, when things go really bad, you stand up and say, yeah, I'm taking ownership.
Ooh, I got a good metaphor.
What's that?
They're the bulletproof vest. So they take the shots, but they're not an offensive weapon. They don't actually
That's good.
make any shots. So if you do that for your folks, you let them take the shots, get the accolades for being the highest scorer in the game. But anytime it goes bad, you're willing to step in front of it and take the shots for them.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
And that is so just anti-human behavior, right? So
It's the opposite of the culture we're in, where it's YouTube, it's look at me, how many likes can I get, selfies, right? That's all about me.
Yeah, true.
Gosh, and I think that's just one of the enemy's ways of getting us sidetracked on what matters.
So we're all about training in this organization. Aside from just deciding one day you're going to be that kind of person, how do you train to do that?
Train to do what? Train to be a leader? Train to be a follower?
Well, servant leader, I think, is one thing. One thing I like to do is give practical steps for men as it pertains to being a leader in this case. Like, what do we tell guys that how can you improve? What's the next steps?
I think a key thing is mentorship. Finding somebody that is either in a role that you want, or somebody that models the behavior that you like, right? And grab that person. And it should be a good two-way street. They should understand that they're your mentor, and there's a mentorship going on. It has nothing to do necessarily with rank or stature. It could be your walk, right? Like, man, I need to grab some more Chris Jenkins and explain some of this old stuff to me, be my buddy and lead me, right? That guy's crazy reading the Bible 4 times this year, and like, good on you, man. Like, making that a priority, right? And that's somebody that could be a great mentor if you're looking for some spiritual guidance. Or we talk about Uncle Keith already, and he can quote scripture and I can't. And why can't I? Because I don't study it the way he does. I've been through the book a few times, but man, I'm no means Uncle Keith. So I could grab him and like, hey, help me out. What's your techniques for learning scripture? And then if you know it, then you can apply it, right? So a bulletproof vest is no good if you don't know it's there.
Yeah, good point.
It's good.
You got to put it on.
That's right.
Yeah. That's pretty cool. I think having a heart of curiosity is important too. Like being willing to reach out and ask questions, or raise your hand and say, I don't know. We're in that group, right? That's something guys struggle with big time.
Big time. I think, accountability, partners, if you're struggling with something, instead of moving up, like just rising out. So you might not need somebody to be there above you, just maybe a partner to help lift you up, lock arms with and lift each other out of the mud. Self-help's the biggest section of the library and bookstore, but not the answer. There's very few of them in there, right? Of, again, getting back to that, I can solve it myself, and not looking to God, looking to Jesus, looking for people around you to help you, your small groups, your Junto tribes, to connect with other like men to do life together.
That's good.
Yeah, good stuff.
Okay, I got. So we talked about all the main ones. I would say friends, family, workplace. What about the community?
Community is all the above. It is all the above.
Yeah.
And you go to town and you see somebody. How do I know you? Do I know you from kids sports? Do I know you from church? Did I run into you on base somewhere, like trying to put the puzzle? And we were to a local church recently, and Mike and I are standing in the lobby, and this lady walks up like, "Oh, hey, how you doing?" And his gears are turning. Like, how do I know this woman?
And then it came to me finally.
Where did I meet her at? So
Nice.
Yeah.
you are constantly in community, and you're constantly being watched.
Yep.
By your littles that you're dragging with you, by your spouse, the other people that may know you from somewhere and you don't recognize them. Man, community's everywhere, and I get involved with some of the local chamber stuff too, and you see people at that, then I see them other places, and it's doing life together.
Yeah.
You are in your community, whether you think you are or you're not. So put on a smile and love some Jesus.
I love the doing life together.
Yeah.
So good, because
Yeah, me too.
that's what you're doing all the time.
Yeah. I don't know. It doesn't take that much bandwidth to connect with people in short stints too, right? Your circle can only be so big, but it's really not that hard to, in every interaction, try and make a human connection, even if it's 10 seconds long.
Yeah. How hard is it to be nice to somebody?
Yeah.
Man,
Not
sometimes really.
Yeah.
Depends on
Well, yeah, true.
if it's this guy. I'm just kidding. I'm kidding.
You want to hear something funny? A few weeks ago in church, a woman walked up to me and was talking to me like we knew each other. And I'm like, oh no, I have no idea who that is. And we had a full conversation. And then she walked away. Sarah was there with me. She walked away and I go, Sarah, who was that? It's our dentist. But I never see her without her face mask on.
It's not your fault.
No. That was so funny. I'm like, I got to remember that face because I had many conversations in the dental chair, but never
Never knew what she looked like.
Yep. Like, oh,
That's pretty
terrible.
funny.
Yeah.
Don't look behind the mask.
Yep.
Exactly right. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe a better approach is going to be like, where do I know you from, and just be willing to admit that your memory's poor,
lost.
and spark up a conversation using that too. It's tough though.
It is, and especially for the introverted type folks. I wouldn't call myself normally outward going, more introverted, and I go do events for work or within the community, and then, all right, I got to turn it on. Here we go. Like, get amped up and play some Rocky montage music or something.
Oh, nice.
I don't really do that, but that's kind of what I think of. And turn it on. Like, all right, here I go. I gotta go talk to a stranger and pretend to care what they're saying right now. And it can be exhausting if that's not your personality trait. Like, ugh.
Yeah.
But just put yourself out there.
So
be vulnerable.
the flip side is, if you are an extrovert like I am, sometimes you got to turn it off. Right.
Yeah.
You got to allow your batteries to recharge. You got to stop overwhelming people. So I like that you said that you're making an effort as an introvert to step out of your comfort zone and do something that's different. We extroverts have to do the same thing too, because we can dominate a conversation. We can take over opportunities for others to lead because we just can't keep our big mouth shut.
Yeah.
And then you're stifling
That's
those
good.
around you.
I need you to take a pause right now and just close your pie hole and listen for a minute.
Yeah.
I said that, not just close your pie hole, but, the 2 eyes, 2 ears, and 1 mouth, right? If you go into an unknown, strange situation, observe, with your eyes. Listen, what are people saying in this place that an event is happening? And then think and make a decision, speak it, right? So you go into a place and the dumpster's on fire, all right, look what's happening, listen what's going on, what are people saying, and before you just start spouting stuff, right? All right, let's think and act and then speak and make a intelligent, informed decision.
So you got to give your senses equal playing time is what I just heard.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I've never heard it put that way.
That's good.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I tend to just act. So I'll do better though, guys. I promise.
We hope so.
Some of our other friends are, talk a lot. So
Yeah.
Not naming any names because they know who they are.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah. So let me ask you this. I'm just looking for an anecdote here. Was there a time in your life where you approached a leadership situation that you wished you would have done it differently?
Yeah, definitely. One comes to mind from about 1.5 years ago where I was probably too close removed to the Air Force and was a little bit too firm in standing my ground with a customer, customer air quote, a government entity. They were really wanting to get rid of one of our employees for really no reason. They didn't understand what type of work we were supposed to be providing for them, And I kind of put it out there like, hey, well, this is what you contracted us to do, and this is the exact thing that we're providing for you, but not necessarily what they wanted. And I really stood firm and held ground. Like, I'm happy to work through this issue with you and get this piece of paper to say what you wanted to say. But they weren't really receptive to that. It was, I think they felt intimidated, like their authority or their position of power was being threatened, and not seeing my willingness to work and help come up with an amicable solution with them. But yeah, there were some struggles and some stressors on our life. I thought I was going to lose my job over this. I thought I was going to be put out on the street, and I probably could have been if I worked for a different company and different bosses. They probably would have said, "I'm sorry, you screwed up. You should have just rolled over and took one for the team. Pack your bags, you're out of here." But my leadership team wasn't like that. They stood beside me. They investigated the situation. They asked other people what was going on, and basically interviewed them to see what was said by who and how, and figured out that I didn't lose my temper or lose my cool or say something that I shouldn't have done. And they stood beside me and they supported me and helped grow me within the organization. So that one instance, I probably could have been a little softer. I probably could have been a little bit more sensitive to their needs, but in the same right, I was really wanting to stand up and do what was right for our people and be protective.
And you were willing to do it.
Willing to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. We talk about it. I think it was, one of the early chapters of, is there something worth fighting for? And I think, it was an emotional time. I'm not an emotional person, but that was an emotional time for me that Stacey and I spent an hour and a half or so on the tailgate of the truck. And, I was crying and because it was all happening at the same time. And we're talking about what's worth fighting for. And, our people worth fighting for? Yes, they are. And then I talked with her too about, if I quit my job and I would go someplace else because of this situation. I'm like, is that the right thing? Is that taking care of these people if I quit and go away?
That's really cool.
Or is it better for me to stay here, duke it out, continue to fight for them, advocate for them? I might be in a different role or in a different position, but I can still be their advocate and I can still fight for them.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
Yeah, it's displaying
Love
value.
that story.
I love that. Thanks for sharing.
Yeah.
All right, let's do something a little different that we've never done before.
Oh, geez. Now I'm never.
I just came up with this on the fly.
Push-ups?
Yeah, we're going to have Mike do push-ups, and then you and I are going to keep talking. No, not that. Okay, I'm going to name a person, and we're going to do a little word association. You just tell me what's one key leadership principle that would help you define how you should lead in that relationship.
Okay.
Is that fair?
Yeah.
Because it's probably going to change based on the person.
So you're going to say a trait, and I'm going to name a person?
Nope. I'm going to say a person. I want you to tell me what the key leadership trait is in interacting with that person. All right?
How many wrong answers do I get?
They're just yours. Okay. This might totally bomb, guys, and we'll cut it out if it does, but we're going to try it.
I like games, though. Here
All
we
right,
go.
let's go with the first one. You ready?
Yep.
Mike Sanders.
Oh, boy. He's knowledgeable, impactful. He's a teacher. I'm trying to think of one trait, though. These are just characteristics that I see in you.
I just want to point out I'm really nervous right now.
Well, I mean, how could you be a leader to him? Let me ask you that.
Oh, you want me to be a leader to him?
Yep.
Hold him accountable.
Okay.
Accountability partner.
I like that.
I do too, actually. I'll take some of that too. Hold me accountable.
Yeah.
All right. How about let's go with your boss at work. One leadership trait for you, by the way, not for them.
One boss, because I kind of have two bosses. One's the same where I hold his feet to the fire and he knows it and he gives me a hard time about it, and let him know that he needs to match the expectations, or if he's late, then I give him a hard time for it. And then the other boss that I have is be a sounding board, to be that honest feedback loop for her when she's seeking counsel and advice, to not be self-seeking and give her that honest feedback. So the honesty there, and then the accountability again.
Nice. Okay. How about your son?
My son, ooh, good one. Example. Be that example for him, to show him what it means to be a godly man, a loving husband.
Awesome. All right. I hope this one changes, but how about your daughter?
I think the same, really. To emulate what she should be seeking in a man. She should see the way that I treat Stacy, and she should seek a relationship with somebody who's going to treat her the same, and lead her to the places that she needs to go, just as I take our family and her to places where they want to go and that I think they need to go.
Nice. All right, I got two more for you. The head pastor of your church.
Head pastor of our church. I guess I would have to be a good follower. He's the leader of the church, and we're spreading disciples as one of our missions. So I need to be a good follower of his example of taking the word out to the community and sharing the gospel.
I love how you said that being a good follower is a way to be a good leader, because I agree with that wholeheartedly.
Yep.
Yeah, that's awesome. All right, best for last. What's the one trait for your relationship with your wife?
Honest. Need to be sympathetic, empathetic, open. She's trying like hell to make me a better person. I just got to receive that. She's doing a fantastic job, I think. But man, I don't know what I would be without her. I would be probably in shambles. That's for sure.
That's awesome.
Yeah, thanks for sharing that. We believe in 360-degree leadership, meaning in every relationship that you have potential to lead. So that's why I asked that question.
Yeah.
And it looks different for everybody. You got to be willing to adjust.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I know it was a little personal, but thanks for sharing.
That was
pretty
good.
Cool.
That was good, Jim.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just came up with that on my own.
Wow.
That was probably the Holy Spirit. I can't take credit.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
So, yeah. All right. Well, any final thoughts, Jacob?
Thanks for this opportunity. It's good to be a little self-reflective and kind of think about things a little deeper. And again, that's a lot of times it's just surface talk, right? Like, how you doing? The answer just say good.
Yeah,
right?
that's right.
Just, how's your day? Good. It's not I got stung three times by a wasp. I'm like, all right, this is going to take a while now.
I still have PTSD. I can't believe you brought it up already.
Yeah, that's right.
I'm trying to go full circle on the
Thanks,
podcast.
buddy,
Like
thanks.
bring it back together, land this airplane.
My lips aren't numb anymore. I can still breathe. We're good.
But just, it's okay to be that reluctant leader. It's everywhere through the book of being a reluctant leader. Step into a role that's uncomfortable. Try it out. Put it on. Pray. Lean on your friends. Find a good mentor. And just trust in the Lord.
Awesome.
That was good. Yeah, I learned a lot today.
Me too.
I learned a lot.
I got to tell you, Jacob, I have so much respect for you, because when you, much like a lot of the people that we interact with, Mike, when you choose to speak, because you are a bit of an introvert, people better pay attention, because it's usually something very profound. I love how you observe, and then everything you offer is solid gold. It just has such value. So I've really enjoyed being a part of this ministry with you, and you definitely bless me. So
I say the same thing. We've talked about it. Bringing you on and having you around has been amazing, and you always bring good ideas and feedback and everything. So thank you.
Not too much sarcasm.
And a little bit of sarcasm.
I think just the right amount, though.
Yeah, but it's about right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's good for me. But at the end of the day, guys, we all have to be willing to grab an oar and row. When the boat's going in the right direction, everybody's got to be willing to do that. And I think we've put together a team of men that are willing to do that.
Yeah.
And
totally agree.
You mentioned the person in the back of the boat yelling orders. I hope for us that's Jesus steering the boat. He's got his hand on the rudder, and we're just doing our part. So,
that's awesome.
Yeah. So anyway, thanks a lot, man. This was good stuff.
It's a pleasure.
Thank you, my friend.
Yeah.
Another good day, Mike.
Yeah, just keep on doing good things.
Absolutely
Bring on
right.
good people.
So we love you guys. Stay tuned next week. We've got the last archetype for this, and then we'll move into a new series of discussions. So stay tuned, join us, check out the website. We love you, and it's time to say goodbye, Mike.
See ya.
Bye-bye.